Hi, Teri here from Stamping Magic. Welcome back to my channel. Today's project is a really sweet card. I've used the Hand-Penned Petals stamp set together with the coordinating penned flowers dies. I've also used paper from the Hand-Penned Designer Series paper pack. And I've created an easel card. And to do this, I used a die from the Scalloped Contours die set. The size of the finished card is approximately 5¼ inches by 4 inches. So, let's get started. These are all the measurements you need for all the elements required to create this project. So if you're interested in reproducing it, take a screenshot so you can refer to it later. Here are the Scalloped Contour dies, and the main die I'm using today is the largest one, and this will create the card base. I'm using soft succulent card for my card base, and this is just half a sheet of standard card scored in the middle and folded to create a portrait card base. The die needs to be positioned on the fold end of the cardstock. Now you need to position the blade at the top of the die so it just peeks up above the fold line. Now this isn't the edge of the die. The blade is set a little bit back from the edge. So make sure you can see the blade line just above your fold line on your cardstock. And then secure it with some type of low-tack tape. I'm using post-it tape, but you could use washi, which would work fine. I'm also securing the bottom end of the die. I'm going to run this through several times, and I don't want the die to move. Now when you run it through, I will run it forwards and backwards a few times, and then I will turn it round and run it forwards and backwards again. I may even run it through sideways or at a diagonal. Because the die is manufactured to just cut one layer of cardstock, it's going to struggle a little bit to go through the 2 layers that you have here. It will work, but you need to run it through several times. After it's been cut, when you open up the card, it should be joined at the top. If it's not, then you either didn't position the die correctly or the die moved while you were running it through. I'm now going to make a score line halfway along. Now in between the top and the bottom scallops are 10 scallops, so I'm making my score line between the 5th and 6th scallop. I'm using a line I've drawn on my Simply scoreboard to help me position it to make sure it's straight. And then I can make the score. I can now fold on this score line, but before burnishing I'm going to try and line up the scallops on the top with those underneath, and then I can burnish. I've used the same die from that set to create a single mat, and this will become the front of my card. Now when I add glue, I only want to add glue to that halfway point, so between the 5th and the 6th scallop. And then it's just a simple case of lining up the scallops on this mat with those on the card base. I've created 2 mats, one in basic white and one in the Hand-Penned Designer Series paper, and this time I used the second size down of the Scallop Contour dies. The white mat will go inside, and this is the one that you'll write your message on, and the Hand-Penned Designer Series paper mat will go on the front of the card. This is the Hand-Penned Petals stamp set. Today I'm using the main image and also the thanks sentiment. Now this is a two-step stamp set, which means there are multiple stamps to make up one image. So you've got the outline images and then you've got the fill-in images that you can use to colour. I'm going to stamp the sentiment directly onto the Designer Series paper mat, and I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink to do this. Because the stamps are photopolymer, it's very easy to line up the image or words and stamp them down. I've added foam strips onto the back of this mat, only because it would take a lot of single dimensionals to fill the space, so it was easier and quicker to use strips. I can then position the panel onto the front of my card. I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink again for the main image, and I just need to stamp this once. And I'm stamping on normal weight basic white card. The colours I'm using for colouring in my image are Highland Heather, Daffodil Delight and Soft Succulent. I'm starting with Highland Heather and I'm colouring in the three largest flowers. Then I'm going to switch to Daffodil Delight, and there are two sets of 2 flowers and I'm going to use it for those. And then finally there are 2 leaf stamps, one larger than the other, and I'm going to use both of these to colour in the greenery. Now these stamps, these colouring in stamps, do not match the images precisely, so you cannot go wrong with them really. You don't have to try and line them up exactly. To cut out the image, I'm using one of the Penned Flowers dies. I've gone ahead and added the dimensionals to the reverse, so I can take off the backing and position my flowers. I now need to create the stopper for my easel card to stop it sliding closed, and I've used more dies from the Penned Flowers die set. I've cut 2 flowers, one from Highland Heather and one from Daffodil Delight, and I've left the Daffodil Delight one in the die. The leaves were created using this die from the set, and they're in Soft Succulent card. I'm using my tear and tape adhesive, and I'm going to apply this to the centre of the Highland Heather flower on the reverse. This will allow me to infill all the little centerpieces from the Daffodil Delight flower into the Highland Heather flower. Now I'm removing the backing for the adhesive so I can cover those little holes completely, and then I've placed it on my silicone mat so it doesn't stick to my table. Then I can position the Daffodil Delight flower still in the die over the top and press through all those little pieces. Now this didn't go exactly too well this time, it never does for the camera, but they all should just fall in, but if they don't, just do the pieces individually. Now I'm using my embossing buddy on the reverse to remove any stickiness because I'm adding dimensionals. I can then position the flower and the leaves where I want them on my white panel, and the further back you place them, the more upright your card will sit. But I want to leave plenty of room for the message, so I'm putting them towards the bottom. The leaves will be glued flat, and then the flower, as you know, is on dimensionals. And because it's raised up, it will act as a stopper, so it will stop the front of the card sliding down and closing. I finished off my original card using some of the 2021-2023 in colour jewels. Now, I'm not going to use these this time because I've got some others I'm trying to use up, but you could get away with using the pale papaya ones. They will actually look yellow against the Daffodil Delight. But what I am going to use are the Share What You Love artisan pearls, because there's yellow pearls in there. And like I said, I'm in the mind frame at the moment where I'm trying to use up some of my retired stock. So I'm just adding 3, and that will finish my card beautifully. And here is my card all finished. I think it's a really sweet size. And here's the profile. And here's a look at my original card again. Now the colours I used here were pale papaya and polished pink. And I used soft succulent for the card base and the leaves. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Bye for now.